Hello YouTube. Today I will talk about my experience with my new laptop as well as running Linux on it. So why don't we kick this off with some specs. This laptop is a Dell XPS 13900 from around 2020. It sports a i7 1065G7 CPU, 16GB of DDR4, 3733 RAM, Intel Iris Plus graphics, and 128GB of NVMe storage. And for operating system, I am running Ubuntu 24.04 LTS. Now the most important test of a laptop. Can I open it with one hand? Even though this thing is running Linux, you would be surprised how much gaming you can actually do. Playing MudRunner here at medium-high settings was just fine on this thing. And considering this thing is sold as a mid-range laptop, its screen is actually surprisingly good. Speaking of the screen, we'll get back to that later. Streaming games on this laptop was about as good as you would expect. Games like Demon G Drive and Doom Eternal did actually look very good on this thing's screen. And now, let's get into some screen comparisons. On the left, I have my dad's Dell Inspiron. In the middle, I have my mom's M2 MacBook Pro. And on the right, I have my Dell XPS. So as you can immediately tell, the Dell Inspiron is by far the worst looking. However, it's not really fair to compare that to the MacBook and XPS because the Inspiron is only really intended for like internet browsing. And between the OLED on the XPS and the Retina on the MacBook Pro, I would most definitely say that the MacBook Pro has better blacks. Overall, I would say that the MacBook Pro appears to be a bit more accurate, but the XPS is overall more pleasing to look at. And I feel like the XPS and MacBook would both be equally suitable for photo editing or color correction. Now that we've discussed screens, let's get on to the keyboard design. For this comparison, I'm just going to completely leave the Inspiron out. So I don't have any recordings of me typing on either, however, I do prefer the feel of the XPS keyboard more than the MacBook. And just looking at them, they are very similar looking. I will say that I do prefer the XPS keyboard in part because it does have the full-size left and right arrow keys. The Mac keyboard, while it had perfectly sized keys, it just wasn't very tactile. It felt the slightest bit mushy and the keys did not have enough travel. The keys on the XPS have just the right amount of travel and are quite tactile. I very much enjoy typing on it. Now that I've gone over the specs, my general opinion on this laptop, on its keyboard and screen, and even gone over a bit of gaming, I think that'll be about it for this video. If you've considered buying a Dell XPS, I would most certainly recommend it as long as it's one that doesn't have that stupid capacitive touch bar thingy. And with that, see ya.